What is going on, buddy? This is an emergency late night video because of the massive crash that just happened in the crypto markets, the largest 24-hour liquidation in the history of cryptocurrency just happened within the last couple of hours. In the video, I'm going to talk to you about what is happening, what we do know, what we don't know, and potentially what to expect next in the crypto world. I don't have an editor here. This is coming out to you as quickly as possible, so almost like a live stream, but pre-recorded. Let's get into the conversation. Before I do, I want to be very clear here. I don't know for certain what is happening. Honestly, nobody in the world knows for certain what is happening. Even the whales who are involved in this move. Manipulation is in play. Whether we see a massive bull market spark or whether we have begun a major move down, manipulation absolutely was in play today. Even the manipulators don't fully understand and know what is happening next. But I'm going to do the best I can to try to break it down and think through with you what the options could be. However, I am not a financial advisor. This video is not financial advice. Please, please, please continue to think for yourself. Do your own research. Use this as an educational and entertaining piece of content to help you navigate the markets to the best of your ability. If you do enjoy it, please smash the like button and subscribe. That's all I ask of you. You don't have to follow my advice. You don't have to agree with me, but I ask that you smash the like and hit subscribe to help the channel out. Holy cow. Let's get into it. Let's take a look at what's going on. The Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. After a couple of days ago, we warned you this week there would probably be some form of a pullback. We were higher. Let's actually go look. How high were we exactly? Let's take my face down for a second. We got all the way up here to a 74 on October 5th, a 74 in the Bitcoin Fear and Greed. We have fallen dramatically to 27. Let me go back over here. Actually, I'm flipping back and forth. When was the last time we were this low? We were just this low. We weren't quite this low the other day at 28. We have not been this low since all the way back here towards April 11th. April 11th, major bottom earlier this year. Holy cow, we fell extremely, extremely fast. It's weird. CoinMarketCap still has us at a 54 or neutral for fear and greed in the altcoin space. No way that's happening. No way that's true. Why? Because crypto fell dramatically. Let me show you the charts in case anyone has no idea what I'm talking about. Let's look at like a 1 hour chart just to give you an understanding of what this looks like. You know, we started the day a whole lot higher up here above $120,000 while we did come down to 114. Right? We told you earlier today 110 would be expected. We told you earlier this week, at least 118 would be on the table. We've gone so much lower than even I thought possible. Bitcoin, all things considered, only dropping to 107,000. Big win. What was that win? Ultimately, it took out liquidations we told you guys would be very key. Let me kind of replay this and go back to before. Let me start a new one. Yeah, let's go back here. A couple days ago, you guys will see the bright liquidations that were popping up down here, a little bit below 108 to 107. Sure enough, as you let this play out, that is exactly what we took out here, and we liquidated that entire market here today. Now, all of a sudden, there's not a whole lot of long liquidations left below. It was a bloodbath, but all things considered, Bitcoin held up kind of well, right? Only down in the last 24 hours. It only fell roughly about 12, 13%, give or take. Ethereum, much worse. Ethereum would drop all the way down here to $3,500. Still not necessarily that bad when you take a look at it from a zoomed out perspective. We're still absolutely in a higher high and higher low situation on Ethereum, but bloodbath. XRP over here, look at this wick. All the way down to $1.58. Craziness. It had been trading up and around / over $3 for a while. $1.58. That's not even the craziest one. I think the craziest one that I was tracking through this process, you guys know I love me some Chainlink. Chainlink, at one point today, you could buy at a level that you have not seen since August of 2024. Chainlink dropped to $8.38 on certain exchanges, this one being Binance. Absolutely ludicrous stuff going on. Let's talk about why. I'm going to have a list today. I'm going to talk to you about a couple coins. We have a handful of coins. We're not going to do in-depth technical analysis here. I'm going to tell you which coins I think are holding up semi-well in this madness. Which ones the coins are doing okay, could have done a little better, but there's two coins that I've been tracking, and I'm not saying I'm selling them. I'm not saying I'm out of them, but there's two coins I'm very disappointed with how they've reacted this whole thing. Why, though, is this happening? Some of you guys asked that question. Why is this happening? Well, first of all, 19 billion, yes, billion dollars were liquidated from crypto markets today. That news came after a big report coming from the Kobesi letter. I got a lot of flack earlier. I made a video on X saying this was the largest crash I've ever seen in crypto. A lot of comments asking if I was new to the space. I knew it wasn't crazy. Officially, the largest liquidation in a 24-hour period. At the time of Kobesi letter putting this out, it was only at $9 billion down. That is smashing it. Second place, February 3rd, 2025. That was the last time we got some scares from tariff news. Only 2.2 billion. May 19th of 2021, that would be when Elon Musk sold his Bitcoin and claimed there were environmental factors, 1.2 billion. March 12th of 2020, that would be the COVID scare, $1 billion liquidation. And January 10th, 2021, that was altcoin season. People sold their Bitcoin to buy altcoins, a $1 billion liquidation. This report says 9 billion total. The reality is, again, 19 billion dollars liquidated. This is a bloodbath, a crypto scare that we have not ever seen. I didn't know if maybe something like this had happened before my time investing in crypto, right? I'm not the oldest investor in the space, but no, historically, no time ever in history have people lost more money than they did today. And it didn't even take the full 24 hours. It really only took about 15 minutes to wipe people clean. The big reason why this is happening, everyone's going to place it on this one. President Trump, we knew about this earlier in our live show earlier today. We talked about Trump's threats to raise tariffs on China. Well, guess what? Now he's announcing that there will be an 100% tariff on China starting November 1st. Now, what is today? It's October 10th. We have 3 weeks for this to change. We've seen this happen before where Trump issues a threat about tariffs and then walks it back later. He's trying to show China he means what he says. Do not mess with me. Hopefully we have 3 weeks. We've seen some sort of resolution there, but if nothing changes, 100% tariffs on China, that is going to spark some massive chaos in the markets. Some people blame that story. Other people blame this story. I got to bring it up, even though I don't think this is the serious one to think about. Less than 2 weeks ago, Jim Cramer said to buy crypto. Today, the crypto market has one of the biggest crashes in history. Did Jim Cramer strike again? That's definitely coincidental, and it's definitely something to keep your attention on. I think this story is a whole lot bigger. And interestingly, on the live show today, if you guys watched it, go back and watch it if you haven't already. I speculated and told you it seemed like heavily manipulated markets. Somebody knew what was happening. That people started selling even before Trump's news. Check out this tweet and this screenshot of a wallet earlier today. This is from a guy named Vivek Sen, excuse me. He said someone just opened a Bitcoin short 30 minutes before Trump's tariff announcement and closed with an $88 million profit. He opened this account today. So what does this mean? Somebody who had never invested in crypto, a brand new wallet was created to short Bitcoin 30 minutes before the announcement that Trump was going to be doing these tariffs, and they made $88 million of profit. This, ladies and gentlemen, is clear-cut, unadulterated, unarguable, clear case manipulation. And I hope whoever did this, I hope they track it down and figure out what the heck is going on. In a nutshell, while I'm about to tell you what's happening in the market, what I think the future is going to look like, manipulation is what happened today. It doesn't matter what happens next. We'll talk about what happens next here in a second. Whether you are extremely bullish right now and you are buying these dips, whether you think this is the beginning of the end, and we're going to see at least multiple months of downward pressure and price action, whether you're not really sure yet, what we do know, you do not get $19 billion liquidated in literally 15 minutes without manipulation in play. Centralized exchanges, looking at you. People around and in the Trump camp, I'm looking at you. People in China and other countries, I'm looking at you guys. Whales made a lot of money today. They got to buy some cheap crypto that we have not seen in quite some time. I'm not even talking about Bitcoin, right? We knew that Bitcoin had high liquidations at 107,000. I'm talking about some of those cryptocurrencies. Let's go take a look at a couple of those. But I'm telling you right now, this was a manipulation day. bigger than I thought possible. I've been talking about manipulation for a while. I told you guys I thought this week would have a pullback. I told you I thought we'd get some sales. Never could I have guessed it would have been this great, this fast, this violent to create historically the highest liquidation level the world has ever seen in crypto. Crazy, crazy stuff. Let's go through a list of coins, though, that I think are holding up well, relatively, and we'll talk through them. Let's start off, obviously, with Bitcoin. Why do I think Bitcoin's held up well? Well, I told you earlier today I thought 110,000 was absolutely on the table, mostly because we had a daily sell signal, and this is where the smart trail was, right? So the fact that we wicked down and took out all those liquidations I talked about earlier, and I don't know if you're going to see them here. Yeah, not so much. You have to go to a lower time frame. The fact that we took out those extremely low liquidations at 107 and we're kind of now bounced back up and hovering in that daily smart trail, that's a good win, good sign for Bitcoin. I'll talk more about the markets overall here in a couple of minutes, but Bitcoin, looking at the charts, was this fast? Yes. Was it dramatic? Yes. But I actually kind of like how Bitcoin held up in this whole thing. It did bounce back up as high as I saw. It got back up above 114,000 at one point. If you were to look at, like, say, a 1 hour chart here, yeah, we got back up towards almost 115,000. We're bleeding a little bit here later on, but big volume coming in there. Bitcoin held up surprisingly kind of well. Another coin that held up, I think, pretty well, Ethereum. We talked about in the show earlier, 3,700 could be hit. This is a channel forming. We had a little bit of a fake out to the upside. We told you, I thought actually 3,900 was a sure thing. We went even lower, but we stayed above this green line. We wicked down below to 3,500, but we're holding this level as support right now. Not the end of the world. There were some heavy liquidations down here towards 3,800. We took those out. As a whole, ETH really did not drop as far as it could have. It could have been a whole lot worse. ETH only fell 19% on the day and is now back up above support. Again, I'll save some thoughts later on for what I think happens next. Another coin that I think held up reasonably well, XRP, like I told you earlier, dropped all the way to $1.57, but has now come back up and it's holding a level above the more recent June summer lows. I think this is something that was absolutely on the table to come down to these levels. We're staying above that green support band on the daily chart. I wish it would have stayed higher. I wish we could have bounced up higher, but XRP, I'm not complaining too much. Same thing with Solana. Solana really didn't drop that far compared to other altcoins that you're to see some of these coins dropped more than 50%. We only had a 22% drop on Solana. It held up pretty well. And with us being inside of a rising channel here for quite some time, I told you guys there was a chance. Even before all the chaos, I said, don't be surprised if we temporarily lose this support level here at 200. Sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Boom. Solana's really not that bad. Not that big of a deal. Not too worried about it. Let's talk about one of those coins that dropped more than 50%, though. My darling, my favorite, Chainlink. Nothing's changed about the future for Chainlink. Chainlink's still a big part of the future in the world of cryptocurrency. But today, holy cow, guys. Today, at one point, Chainlink was trading as high as $22.72. And then towards that middle portion, we got as low as $8.31, 63.4% to the downside. Man, I wish I had bought more there. I did jump in and get a good amount at $11. That was the best I could do on its way back up. Holy cow, though. We have not seen $8.30 since this wick back here on August 8th of 2024. But look at what happened since then. It jumped all the way back up here and is now hovering above $17. If you were to take away that wick, it's still higher highs and higher lows here for Chainlink on the grand scheme of things since those April lows way back here. And yet, something I haven't showed you yet on a lot of these coins. A lot of these coins are starting to see extreme lows on the RSI, lows that we have not seen again in quite some time, dating back to earlier this summer. These coins are extremely, extremely oversold right now, despite the fact that they're really not sitting in a bad spot. Chainlink doing actually surprisingly pretty well today. Let's skip this one. A couple other ones that we think are holding up kind of well. Could have done a lot worse. Cardano fell all the way down back to 42 cents. Now it's kind of camping out here in the 65-cent region. Lower than back here on August 4th. I would have liked it to stay above there. So this one's kind of not as good as some of the others I mentioned. But overall, all things considered, Cardano holding up kind of well here. Some other coins, take a look at. AVAX is holding up pretty well after dropping all the way back to 875. 875, level we have not seen in quite some time. How far do we have to go back there? October of 2023 prices, massive jump back up here, consolidating around a recent support level here on August 4th, back in the realm of $21 to $22. AVAX responding very well. The manipulators came for it. They tried to crash it, responding quite well at the moment. HBAR's not doing too bad itself. Crashed all the way down to 8 cents, now hovering back up around 16 cents. Again, this is another one. I'm not going to be able to show you all of them. HBAR today crashed itself, just like Link, 62%, but a massive jump back up, back into respectable territory. Last one I'll take a look at here, Aerodrome. Had great news earlier today, made its way back up towards resistance more recently, fell down. We're kind of just hovering around some local support. Aerodrome's held up pretty well throughout all this chaos. Two coins that I think have not held up as well as they could have, but they're not terrible. Sui had a pretty dramatic fall here. What was his exact percentage? Sui today dropped a whopping 42%. And it's bounced back up, but the fact that it's kind of just hovering back around support levels from in June, I would have wished Sui could have jumped a little bit higher, maybe gotten back up here above $3 to consolidate. It's still below where I feel like it really should be. It has not jumped up the way I thought. BitTensor Tau, another coin I really love. Great news earlier today. This was the one. Jumped all the way to $396 on some fantastic news, dropped all the way to $247. That was a decrease in price action through all this news of about 38%. It has not recaptured the major support level inside of this, not just the channel, but of the triangle as well. So it's not terrible. It didn't drop like crazy. I just wish it could have jumped back up here above $300 per coin and held that support level. Two coins I think are doing terrible right now, and I'm not telling you I'm selling them. I'm just letting you know what I'm seeing on the chart and seeing the disappointment that's happening. Uniswap, brutal crash here. Uniswap dropped today from after rallying to 855 all the way down to 496, south of $5, a 41% crash. And it barely bounced back up here, guys. Look at this. Very few other altcoins have that big of a candle body yesterday, and yesterday's candle with a small wick. Uniswap did not get a bounce, did not get a bid. Again, am I giving up on it? No. I'm just saying today is not Uniswap's day whatsoever. Ondo's the other one. I love me some Ondo, but I do not like how this one went down. Crashed all the way to 58 cents. This is good enough for the daily chart. It had a big loss of 35%. So all things considered, not a terrible crash there, but just not really that much of a bounce either. Couldn't get back up to these support levels. Coming back in at 72 cents where it's operating. Again, not as bad as Uniswap necessarily, but I don't really love how that Ondo coin bounced back. Is it going to make it? I still think there's a chance, but it's not as strong right now, in my opinion, as some of those other coins that all things considered, with all the chaos that's happened, some altcoins are still faring pretty well. Some not so much. But now let's talk about, what does this mean for the future? What does this mean overall? As I told you guys earlier, let's go back to this chart right here. Largest liquidation in the history of cryptocurrency. Let's look at some other time periods where we saw things like this happen. Let's go back over here on Bitcoin. Let's see. I'm going to go to my other Bitcoin chart here for a second, where did I put all of my, I'm going to go to my total chart here, total cryptocurrency. Let's take a look at places and what things looked like. Of course, back here, February 3rd, this was the second largest in the history of cryptocurrency, the second largest liquidation. This, of course, on the news of tariff wars. We actually had a really good bounce that day, would trickle for the next couple of weeks, but would not end until months later into April. We finally bottomed out. Are we seeing a repeat of potentially what happened back in January? Not so certain just yet. Let's look at the other periods of time where we saw big liquidations just like this. We got to go back quite a ways back here. The next one, big significant one, Elon Musk crashes Bitcoin after major rallies in not just Bitcoin, but the crypto markets as a whole. Massive crash. While that wouldn't officially be the bottom of the summer, it was pretty darn stinking close. At that point, it was just about consolidating, letting the whales buy up the dip before the bull run would continue later in the summer. So not anything that bad. This one back here in January of 2021, again, this liquidation was simply a selling of Bitcoin to go buy altcoins. If you look at altcoins across this period, they rallied like crazy. It was just Bitcoin that suffered. So not really something I think we can compare to right now. I think this one is the one that I would be watching the most. COVID hits, chaos strikes, $1 billion liquidated, which at the time, in March of 2020, $1 billion was a significant portion of the market cap. massive crash that would end up being the bottom of that year, and it was nothing but bullish upside on the way. What are we facing right now? Uncertainty about the future. I cannot promise you that what we just saw was the major bottom and is nothing but upward from here. What I can tell you is we hit a lot of liquidations. We hit price levels we hadn't seen for quite some time. There were a lot of people saying, with my theory that the 4-year cycle is over, that we would have an extended bull run. They're saying, Tim, why would whales, why would these large institutions who are just now getting into the game, why would they buy crypto at such high prices? I didn't think prices were that high, but clearly they did. The reality is a move just like this makes so much sense as we're seeing some large institutional players join the game. There's a saying that I say a lot here, but I wasn't the one that created it. It's when retail misses the boat. When you miss out on buying Chainlink at $8, sucks to be you. Sorry about it. The show must go on. But when the whales miss the boat, when the wealthy individuals miss the boat, when the large centralized banks and exchanges miss the boat and they want it, they bring the boat back. There was a massive sale that happened today. And again, I cannot promise you the bottom is in. I wish I could, but I can't. But I will say it was a very fishy day. Fishy price action. Fishy players in the space and some pretty massive bounces after the largest crash in history. Did we just witness? Well, we look back at this as the last great chance to buy cheap cryptocurrency. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? My personal opinion, and that's all I can give you because I do not know anything more than you do. The fact is, again, nobody knows exactly what happened today, but my personal opinion, whales wanted cheap prices. Whales had their buys. They looked at the liquidation charts. They took out everyone who's traded and been along for any time period this year, and they said, let's go get it. Let's go get those liquidations. They bought some cheap crypto, and the bull run is far, far, far from over. But the roller coaster is going to be crazy. Let me tell you right now, I know a lot of you are thinking this, watching this, and there's a millions others that are not watching this video that are thinking the exact same thing. They're done with crypto. They're done with the chaos. They're done with all of this madness, this nonsense. They want to move on. I've told you now for quite some time, in an asset class like this that can change the world financially forever, and has the potential of being a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And I don't just mean multi like 2 trillion. I mean hundreds of trillions of dollars in the next 10, 15, 20 years. It's an institution. It's an idea that could really rebalance the scales of wealth, taking from the rich to the poor in a way that doesn't violate anyone's freedom. This is the opportunity of a lifetime for retail investors to change their wealth forever. And yet, we're such emotional beings. We're such emotional traders. The institutions, the composite man, the manipulators, they know that. And they use situations just like this to shake us out of positions. Just like a bully on the playground at school who shakes the kid and turns him upside down and shakes him for his lunch money. They shake you out of your positions. And it's only when you decide, the retail investors, when you give up and say, I'm done, I quit, it's over, that these types of industries that are the future of this planet and finance, the whales buy, the manipulators go crazy. They make a lot of money. You're left behind. If you're brave enough to ride this out, if you're strong enough to stick with it, even throughout this chaos, even if you lost thousands, even if some of you lost millions today, this has manipulation written all over it. I'm leaning towards the bottom is in. I'm leaning towards what we just saw yesterday was that massive wave, that last correction to wipe out the retail investors so that the institutions should get their spot. And we're about to see some special stuff happen. I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. Don't know what it's going to look like. Can't promise you when we hit new all-time highs, but I think they're coming. I think they're coming. If you can't wait for it, if this is scaring the crap out of you, be my guest. Take a break. Walk away. Take care of your family. Take care of your mental health. Do everything you need to do. Go take care of yourself. But for me, I'm here. I've become numb to these dips. I'm staying around. I think something special is around the corner. It's always darkest right before the light comes out. Stick around with the channel. We'll update you on what's happening. We'll be bullish when it's time to be bullish. We'll be bearish when it's time to be bearish. Today's are the days where I go against the grain and I go bullish. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Love you guys. Adios.